but I've gotten to a place where I'm going to be getting your research topic proposals back to you. So I should be getting this back to you later this week. I would say no later than like Sunday. It should be getting all your research proposals back to you. And then the only assignment for this week is the outline for the research paper. And that's what I really just kind of wanted to focus on was that outline. So I want to go ahead and go to the module. So for weeks 15 to 18, everything is condensed into this module here. And so all the assignments and everything. So all that's due this week for November 24th is the outline for the research project. And there is a PowerPoint, so make sure you read that as well. But essentially that I tried to, if your outline is not this specific, that is okay. I tried to make this as detailed as possible so you see how you should structure your outline. Like, when you should state a claim and cite and then analyze it. Um, and so basically so for this particular outline, let's say, I think I made it optional if you, actually the optional part, I don't know if I'm gonna look at how I formatted this here too. Optional background information. Um, one time I had, um, okay, so what I did was, introduction, and I'm gonna just fix here. As long as you, as long as you just, at least have a thesis statement. I think that's what I meant. I was trying to, I don't know if when I moved this over. So as long as you at least start with a thesis statement, say optionals begin, and I'll just copy this instead of copying this over. So I apologize last week that some assignments were copied from because I copied over a module into two classes. And so just make sure if you turn in anything, you may have to just resubmit it because I apologize that if you turn it into the one that was deleted. Um, with just so you could just begin with the thesis statement, and, instead of the entire introductory paragraph. So if you want to just start your paper with your thesis statement, or sorry, excuse me, start your outline, start your outline with your thesis statement. That's okay. If you don't actually want to have to write out the topic sentence, the background context, the debate among scholars, and then your thesis, just at least as long as when you write an outline, at least have your thesis statement written out. And then the main emphasis is on the body paragraphs. In an outline, as long as you have a thesis, clear stance, then really the main focus is on those body paragraphs. What are you going to put in these body paragraphs? And I also did post standard outlining format as well, but like I said, it does not have to be as detailed. So this assignment says address the following prompt in a formal outline. Identify a clear stance in your thesis statement based on the following prompt. Identify your stance on the great debate regarding whether rhetoric is in fact declining over time based on your knowledge of design theory. And for those of you that just joined in, I have gotten a couple of those graded. I'm going to be working on returning your research topic proposals to you this week. And then next week we don't have any assignments due, so I'm going to be working on grading any assignments I haven't gotten to yet and getting those back to you. And then if there's any assignments that you still need to do, just make sure that you use next week to just spend catching up as well. If there are anything, I know y'all that come to these meetings, y'all do really good with getting all your assignments in. You're very diligent. But if there's anything that you do need to do, or just spend next week focusing on your paper, and that because I didn't assign anything because it's Thanksgiving, that technically if we were in a classroom, we would have the whole week off anyhow. So um just really work next week on your paper. Mac.
Uh, are you going to explain the outline for research project? Because when I opened it, I was taken aback. I'm like, whoa, I don't know what to look at.
Yeah, this is the outline. Can you see it on the screen? Or
Yeah, are you going to like break it down more?
yeah,
Explain.
that's what I'm gonna explain it. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, I know this outline. There's something that isn't muted. I'm sorry, I was just hearing some background noise. Anyhow, yeah, so I want to break this down. And one thing I did was optional, begin with a thesis statement instead. And if your outline is not quite this detailed, like I said, it is okay. Um, the main emphasis is that you do have your claims written out that you're going to use in your body paragraphs, and you have a quote or a paraphrase, and then the citation. Um, that's really all you really need. I'm also gonna put. I just wanted to make this detailed here so that you kind of see. I really should have put for explaining the quote. This is. I think what I want to do also to make this simpler is for explaining the quote. You don't have to do that in outline. So I'm just going to say, do this only in the research paper. And we'll get back to that one, but I'm just going to simplify this. But the reason when I wrote this out, I was trying to make it detailed so you know how to structure your paper. Um, and do this only in the research paper. Okay, so you don't, yeah, so, and then you do want your claims and your evidence. Do only in research paper. I'll even for the conclusion, I'll just say do this in the research paper. Do this in the research. I'll do this only. If you really that conclusion sentence in the outline, that's you should be able like that. The main issue with this is as long as you have a clear thesis and that you do map out the claims and um, that you have your claims and your citations. So what I'll do is I want to just go through this and put in bold uh, what you do need. I'll just do that. So you're going to need claim. So the first body paragraph, as what I recommended, is having a paragraph where you kind of give context about what it is you're talking about. Um, but here, even as long as you just focus on describing the debate, how the debate came about. I was going to say do this and then describe and define two predominant views and then cite evidence. I'm just going to say that you in this paragraph that you're only required to at least have those things. That I'm just going to say you at least need to put those things in it. Um, and then and the body paragraphs after that, you need to make sure you just have your claim and your claims and your evidence. That those are required. That you need your claims and your evidence for the outline. If you don't have your transition and all that, um, that's okay. See here, trying to see where this. Okay, and then second main point or continuation of the fourth, and so on. Transition from the last paragraph to the present. And then you cite evidence and stating a claim, cite evidence. Okay, third main point. You just at least need to have, and I'll put a note here and I will explain what it means. First, you can use a claim. Okay. So the sixth paragraph is optional. And then conclude just, I would just say in your conclusion paragraph, at least have, just explain how you proved your point. But I want to also just put, actually, this is not correct. So it is research paper, excuse me. Research. So you want to create your own title. And I'll make a note too, and then that the points in bold, the points in the outline that are in bold are required for this outline. And I think I want to go and just re-highlight those for you as well. So the thesis is going to be required that you at least start with the thesis statement. For Roman numeral 1. And then and you're just going to want this in highlighted. And then once again, you want to state a claim, and then actually, so you as long as you have your claims and citations in each body paragraph, that will be okay. That's minimum. You do need at least your claims and your citations in each body paragraph, and you could just start with the thesis statement instead of writing out the whole introduction. If you don't want to have to write out the whole introduction, like I said, that's all you have to do. And it's optional whether you want to have a sixth paragraph, so I am not requiring that. So this should be so I'm just gonna save this, and I'm gonna also just make sure this is in the other um CRNs as well. So this is really, like I said, all you need is you need to at least have your thesis and in each body paragraph, and you'll want, you know, at least so you have your a paragraph on the background context, and then you start your argumentation in the third paragraph or the second body paragraph. Then you'll have I see another place where I need to put in bold and highlight here. So for the third paragraph, I saw I didn't highlight that. So actually the third, excuse me, the first main point of your paper that proves your thesis, that should really be the second. Actually, no, wait. That is going to be the first one, the third point, because you'll have the context. So you need that one. And then the second main point, in the fourth paragraph is the second main point or continuation of the first main point in your thesis. And for the thesis statement, I do recommend if you give your stance and you list the reasons why. Listing the reasons why when you're starting a research paper, when you get later on into academia, you don't have to do that. But I feel like still having your stance and listing them out, whether you want to list firstly, secondly, and thirdly before your stance in your paper, or whether you want to just reiterate them in the reasons why in your stance, that it helps you to organize your thoughts in your paper. And then that's the fourth, and then the fifth paragraph, that's the third main point. And so the third main point in the thesis statement. Third main point in the thesis statement. Okay. So I still recommend three main points. And then so you'll have three main points, and then you'll just have a paragraph on context that will give you your 6 paragraphs, because yeah, I know I put the seventh as the conclusion, but I put this as optional for the 6 paragraph. So it is optional. You don't have to do this. And so basically by having a clear stance, and we're going to go back over the stance again, by having a clear thesis stance and then mapping out those points, either before you write your stance out, it's going to help make it so much easier for you, because you'll map out your paragraph. So it'll be body paragraph 2, 3, it'll be, sorry, body paragraph 2, 3, and 4 of the body paragraphs will just be based on those 3 main points proving your stance. And like I said, for beginning a research paper, I think that would just make it a lot easier for you, and you organize them, those main points based on the order of importance. The least important point will be your first main point after the paragraph on the background context, and the last main point in your body paragraph will be the most important point. So this is the outline for the research paper. Gonna update this on the other ones as well. Well, listed it backwards. So that's the 1, 2, 4, 5, 5 CRN, and then update the last one. And then we'll talk about um, the paper. I know one student did ask if they could write about something other than rhetoric for this particular paper. Um, I told them if they did, they would have to somehow still, like, if they had some other topic, maybe like social media or something else, you would have to still somehow connect it to make it relevant to what we are studying. As long as you can do that and connect it to make it relevant to rhetoric in some way, like it would have to still somehow, even if it was different topic, and you could still tie it in to something specific based on what we have studied, based on our readings, then you can do that. Um, but basically, when I was starting to go over um, I'm starting to go over the prompt here. And so your prompt is to identify your stance on the great debate regarding whether rhetoric is, in fact, declining over time based on your knowledge of design theory. Pinpoint any loopholes in the theory, claiming that rhetoric is declining with your knowledge of design in the modern world. Provide research from a modern rhetoric and design theorist that backs your idea. Conclude by explaining whether the design theory of modern rhetoric and design, excuse me, is so conclude by explaining whether the design theory of modern rhetoric and design theorists can be shown effectively to improve modern business industry or technology. So actually I found a little typo here too that I will fix. But so you want to so the design theory of a modern rhetoric and design theorists can be shown to improve modern business industry or technology. Utilize the term architectonic to support your example. So basically that you are just first of all, you are going to be focusing on your stance on whether rhetoric is declining, like some scholars say, or whether you think that it is actually improving. And so obviously you would talk about why that's such a debate. And then you could talk about, you could even bring in some of the things we talked about with social media and why some people believe that rhetoric is declining. But then once you read the history about rhetoric and design from the article that you read um, this past week, then you can tie in how that particular article kind of shows how the modern rhetoric is just as relevant and is in possibly, it's improving rhetoric based on the nature of the design theory. You could talk about that um, and how it's transformative, like how the rhetoric is being transformed into things that are possibly helping modern business and industry and technology. And so it's translating into greater things than just ancient rhetoric. And so you could, it's based on however you see it. But if you see rhetoric as declining, you would focus on things like that well in the modern world where rhetoric has been declining. Like, if you looked into, obviously social media platforms and things like that, sometimes that is actually seen as, obviously it could be seen as hindering traditional writing and things like that. And, the fact that even there's no more, newspapers are no longer a thing, that even magazines are no longer a thing anymore. You could talk about, so periodicals and some aspects of social media, are hindering, um, thoughtful and meaningful writing, to an extent. And that people are being kind of limited in their intellectual space in that way, just focusing on things that are not, really making them think too much, so to speak, academically speaking, because the texts are being taken away physically from in the form of, a newspaper or a magazine or other things like that. So you would focus on things like that if you believe that rhetoric is declining. There's a lot of literature actually